site is being filmed and audio recorded. We have taken steps to ensure that members of the public are not filmed. However, the audio recording will pick up residents' comments. Please be aware, especially if naming any member of the public. Anyone who films or audio records the meeting is responsible for any claims or other liability from them so doing. Thank you. Welcome to a meeting of the Fairlight Parish Council Finance and Administration Subcommittee. I was going to put stuff up on the board, but unfortunately I've stopped mirroring. But we have got the new slide going, and is being enjoyed and polished by seats of anyone who feels young enough to go down it, and that includes some quite mature adults, apparently.
Do you think as chair you ought to test it yourself?
No. I'd probably do my backing. Last time I went down a slide in a soft play area, I injured myself. Not my grandson, just myself. Right, the first thing is to elect a chairperson for the ensuing municipal year.
Issy?
Yep.
Second.
Anyone else want to do it now? Can we have a vote on that, please, from the members? Thank you. That's everybody. And the election of the vice chair for the ensuing municipal year.
You want to?
Yeah.
I'll second that. Can we have a vote on that? Thank you, members. Okay, apologies for absence.
Councillor Greener.
Okay. Code of conduct and disclosures of interest. Do we have any conflicts of interest in anything that's going on the agenda tonight that you haven't already thought of?
Sorry, just must have got knocked a little bit. Do apologise.
Right, public questions in respect of items on the agenda. Do we have any public questions? Dominic.
Yep. On number 8, with the rise in salary for and also some no incomes on the budget for dish, how can it be equal to any purchase made?
Sorry, what's can you repeat that question?
Yeah, the first one was about the rise of salary of 12.5% increase in a year where things are quite tough for everybody.
Salary's not allowed to be talked about, is it?
No, we're not actually the discussing. As I understand it, discussing and review the current year's budget is talking about it ongoing.
Right.
We have set the budget, that was in January, that was when we discussed budget items.
Right.
So the budget is set, the amounts on the budget are set, and then we monitor them throughout the year.
Okay. My point was to basically to take that in consideration of sort of like some of the increase and maybe sort of try to reduce some of the cost if possible for the parish council.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you said there was a salary and you said there was something else?
Dish.
Yeah.
Dish.
On the incomes of the there is no income for dish, and I wondered.
Sorry, where are you talking about there being no income from dish?
On the page
that's our budget for this year.
Yes, of the budget for this
Okay.
year. It'd be nice to have some kind of idea how much dish is supposed to be
Okay.
raising money.
Yep.
And also on the electricity bill for the pump, with the number of pumps not working very well, is it worth sort of having that sort of double the money on the cost of the electricity?
Yeah, I was going to come on with that. That is something I actually get sent you that I've done the readings. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Right, minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of February. It's always at this parish council meeting that we have a long gap in front of the previous one. If anyone can, members of the committee, if you can remember back as far as the 6th of February, David, you weren't actually, you weren't actually there, but never mind. So the other three of us, are you happy that this is an accurate?
Yes, having read them.
Having read them. Thank you. Okay. Right, to discuss and review the current year's budget.
So matters arising.
Oh, sorry, matters arising, not otherwise on the agenda. If they haven't arisen in the last 3 months. Right, to discuss and review the current year's budget, Pauline.
Well, I have a specific question in matters arising.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It's a very simple one. On 25023, goes down to item C. It says resolve for Councillors Horsley, Sharpe, Roster, complete amended report for discussion. Future, has that been completed, or is there a date on that?
Is this the
confidential
know.
item.
the confidential item?
We can't actually discuss that in public.
No, I didn't ask for that. I said, has it been done?
It's been
Yes.
done.
That's
It's
complete.
been done and
That's all
closed.
right.
Yes.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah. Okay. To discuss and review. Third time lucky, Pauline.
yeah, okay. Well, as mentioned in the Parish Council meeting, I haven't actually had chance to open the new financial year. However, I have today. So we'll be inputting all the information. So at the next meeting, you will have a proper income and expenditure monitoring sheet with all the current information on it. The only things which I think we need to consider, which are items which weren't included in the budget once it was set in January, is trying to allocate the additional costs which have been agreed for Surrey Hills, the solicitor, the solicitors for the leases, and any additional costs we may have in respect of the CCTV,
Okay.
which includes the potential power charges, a possible new licence, because they can't find our old licence of X amount of years ago, and also having the power reconnected to the current box and servicing the current box, because it's been out of action for quite a while now.
We have made some savings on the CCTV
Yes.
because we're not paying the normal rental.
Yeah,
or
we're not paying the maintenance,
the
charge on
maintenance
it.
charges, so there is some there.
Yeah.
Have you any ideas where this money's coming from, Pauline?
In respect of the leases, the audit fee was actually less than what we'd set aside in the
Yeah.
budget, so we still have £2,900 in the audit fee budget, so that could actually be vied if necessary to deal with the solicitors. Surrey Hills, we're not actually too sure how much it's going to cost yet, so that may be something we need to think about in the future, where it's going to come from.
So,
Sorry, Chair, can I interrupt? I'm not sure, when was this agreed that we would go to, about the costs of the Surrey Hills?
at the full parish council last week.
The costs were agreed with it?
No, the costs weren't agreed, the costs are not known.
Right, I thought
It
there
was
something
agreed
about
to-
No,
that.
I don't know how much they will be.
It was agreed
so-
to appoint them.
Yeah, so it's just for future consideration that
This
we need to, because these aren't in the budget, or haven't been allocated in the budget, so.
Are we happy
Back in
to
January.
accept,
So-
suggesting to full parish council need to agree it, don't they?
Yeah.
That we via the remains of the money that we allocated to the extra audit investigations to the solicitors, be divided as appropriate. And the CCTV was, yep, everyone agree that? And we're still looking at the CCTV.
Yeah,
We really have no idea of costs yet.
not yet, no. We're waiting for quotes, etc. at the moment.
Okay.
How many quotes have we asked for out of interest?
Dale's dealing with that at the moment, so I haven't had a chance to have a chat with him about it.
We delegated that to him then.
That was delegated to him 8 months ago, purely because of the CCTV power outages was going to take a long time.
Getting quotes was delegated to
He had
him.
already got quotes
Oh,
off of his own back. I will double check the contractors, etc., and ensure that he actually gets sufficient
Right.
and that they are appropriate contractors.
Have they been updated, the quotes?
He is getting them at the moment, so
Excellent.
so that's fine.
he's picked it up and run with it, but he has kept us informed of what he's doing all the way through, and we are quite happy for him to continue to gather the information. Obviously, the final decision will go to the full parish council. It's not. Anything else on the budget?
Item 8, yeah.
Item 8.
This may be a completely irrelevant question and shut me down if necessary. We received the summary of the accounts for year ending 31st March 24. We just received those figures.
Yes.
When do we discuss those specifically?
The internal audit.
No, the summary of receipts and payments for year ending 31st of March 24.
We don't.
We don't discuss that.
No.
Do we do a written report on it at all?
No.
Should we?
I haven't done since I've been here for the last 8 years,
Okay.
and it wasn't done previous to that.
There is a comment by the internal auditor.
No, I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about us.
Yeah.
I just
Because we monitor it every month.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But, you know,
We
I mean, I'm very new to this. Let's be
No,
very
that's
clear.
fine.
However, in my opinion, we serve the public, and there's only 4 here today,
Yeah.
but we serve the public. And I think it would be, and this could be a formal proposal, I can't vote, because I'm not on this committee, but I'm here. And I think it would be a good thing to do, so I'm putting a case really, that when we have an annual finance details, you know, income and expenditure, I think it'd be a really good idea to have a written report to back that up. And that's for 2 reasons. Number one is transparency, so that if somebody just reads the numbers, they go, oh, well, I know why the precept went up from 70,000 to 90,000. And it's not the little things that matter, it's the big things.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be worth, and this is a formal proposal if you wish, which I'm thinking off the top of my head, to have an annual written report that supports the summary of income and expenditure. And that would be a really good way of communicating with the general public about what has happened and why things are changing. I'll give you a really good example. We all know we have a cliff erosion problem in Fairlight, and if you look at the figures, there's a major expenditure for cliff protection.
Yeah.
Well, if I was a resident, I am, one of the first things I want to know is if that cliff protection system is going to go on annually. Is that an annual thing,
Yes.
or is it just a one-off? So
Definitely.
so my proposal, if you will,
Yeah.
is that we support this document, which is very clear, by the way,
Yeah.
very easy to read.
Which document you
I'm looking at summary of receipts and payments for the year ending 31st March 24. Clearly that came after the February meeting where the budget was set.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so you've got the budget set in February,
Yeah.
then you get a set of figures from March,
Yeah.
which you receive effectively at the end of May. That's fine, but I think it'd be nice to have a report that goes up on the website or wherever, however we put it out, whether it goes out on the email system. And I think that provides a lot more colour to a report. I mean, a lot of people will look at financial reports and you can see their eyes glaze over. And I think for major items of change, I think it's worth just writing something that supports the document. That's my proposal.
Yeah. Can I, perhaps it might not be a bad idea if actually you address this business of the cliff and the electricity and the pumps. So some people may not understand what on earth it's all about.
Can I just reiterate this? In respect of that report, that doesn't actually go out to the public. The public get a copy of the AGAR, which is the public document, which we are obliged to publish. We could do a report on that, but as I say, that is fairly
But
brief.
the AGAR has figures in it.
It does have figures in it, yes.
So by definition,
Yeah.
it's the same answer. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at this.
But it would be a
You know, I
very
can-
brief report. There's only about 4 or 5 figures in it. That one is in a bit more detail.
Sure.
So,
But you know, there's also a significance of that goes on to the budget statement.
yeah.
And the big significant
Yeah.
one, which I'll cover later,
Mhm.
is VAT in the budget.
Mhm.
But that's a different issue. But here, I think it would be really nice to say, okay, that's the reasons.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
saves a lot of time, effort, and I think for the public, it's an
Yeah.
important,
I-
it would be an important document.
Yeah.
That's my proposal.
Yeah.
I think it is something that builds as the year goes through and we talk about in finance and in full parish council as the year goes through, but a summary, yes, I think will be good. If you're wanting the compressor house figures, if you look behind you, the blue graph is the total of electricity we used going from 2020 first quarter to 2024 second quarter, and you can see that for the last this quarter is better, but the previous 2 quarters were horrendous.
Sorry, is that revenue?
No, this
money,
is
or
electricity,
that
this is
units?
kilowatts.
It's units, kilowatts.
It's units. The previous very high quarter was when we had a big leak. So this quarter it has gone down, and we are monitoring it. Last year we were playing catch up, as you can see from the graph, and so this year we have estimated, and as we go through the year and we work out the actual costs, because Volvo sends us the bills in deficit, so to speak, we may have some money left over. If we've got money left over, then it can be used for other things. But given, with a different hat on of the Preservation Trust, given that we are about to have major work done on it, it is quite likely while they're doing that major work, there will be a lot of electricity used, because they'll be doing a lot of pumping and testing. So I don't feel, with both hats on at the moment, that it is a good idea to alter that figure. It's just a by the by, really.
It might be worth, I don't know how many people understand why it's necessary to do this. Do you understand the business about the electricity for the pumps?
Sure.
Basically because it's got to be done, otherwise the coast protection scheme will go down.
So Chair, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
I made a proposal.
Yeah.
I can't vote on it, but other people
So,
can.
It's not actually, I don't believe it's, sorry, it's not actually a proposal in here, is it? Can you?
no, we can do is put
it up for
we can agree to
discussion.
pass it to the full parish
Bring it to
council,
the full parish.
Fine.
that at the end of,
Same result.
at the
We've
end,
agreed to do.
Yeah,
As
same
opposed to-
result, it's
yeah.
just that it doesn't.
But forgive me, if we just leave it in the ether,
yeah.
no one's
not
agreed.
at all.
If you even just say, yes, I agree,
Yeah.
then it goes in.
I'm sure we can get it onto the agenda for the next
Yeah.
I
one.
mean, what I personally tend to do in finance committee meetings as the year progresses and it builds is actually to highlight the areas where we are significantly over or underspending as we go through the year, so that we know where we're moving. What you're suggesting is where we moved, which I think is a good idea. Okay. Anything else on the budget figures? The dish income is not shown because we don't know what the dish income will be.
We can't predict.
It depends on applying for grants, it depends on donations, we can't predict it. So we can't show, we have no income stream defined for it.
Could it not be that you look at what you had last year and then put your finger on that?
We don't do that.
Well, we do in some ways, yes we do. We did with the electricity and stuff, so you just look at
No.
what it was last year and then, yes it is, for most of the stuff, Chair, it is, you look at what it was last year, you take a view on what's going on and what you're planning, and then you put that budget figure on.
That's an expenditure.
No, that's an income as well, you can do the same sort of thing.
I think we've had this discussion previously when we set the budget.
Yes, and I think as far as dish goes, we cannot predict how it is going to be.
It's a shame really, because it's supposed to be self-funding, isn't it?
It's,
That's how it was
well,
proposed, I think, wasn't
the
it?
parish council,
Proposed it.
the parish council will keep an eye on it. We have a dish committee who will be looking at it.
I'm just saying that's how it was originally proposed to the council, that it would be a self-funding exercise, a bit like MOPS.
And
I don't know that it was ever
Yeah,
said it was going to be
that's-
self-funding,
that's
because
what-
right
that's
from
what-
the beginning,
That's what
it
you
was
said,
decided
Carol.
that the parish council was going to pay for the room. Because originally the room was paid for by the village hall, who
Well, it was
gave a
water,
donation
yeah.
of the room.
you
And
said
then when it
originally
carried
would
on,
be self-funding
It was decided that the parish council was going to pay for the room.
for the first year.
And the current
and we agreed when we were setting, the parish council agreed when setting the budget that we would fund the full hire cost
For this
for
year.
the next year.
Yeah.
If we didn't do that, it would be confusing because the parish council is using the fact that we have the hall to be able to hold meetings with people who want to meet with the parish council.
It's a reason
So
to
it,
make some of them,
it is
yeah.
not a total cost only to dish.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that, we had discussed, but it was originally set up that it would be self-funding. So that's how it's proposed to the
If that's
parish
the way you
council.
want to remember it.
It was envisaged that the
Yeah,
parish
good
council
memory
would,
actually counts.
sorry, can I just say, it was envisaged that the parish council would pay the hall hire and that
First year.
I'm still talking, and that we would hope that donations and grants received would pay for the running costs. That's how I believe, other councillors who were at the budget setting, that's how it was put. So we can't put an income in if we don't know where the income's coming from. And some of the grants we received last year may or may not be available again this year. And so, you know, but we will be monitoring it as the year goes on. Right, anything else on?
Just a certain question, if I
Yeah.
may, Chair. I mean, you know, this is the first time I've seen the budget. Clearly, it was set in February, but we put nothing in at all for VAT payments. Yet
Oh,
the previous year we got 9,000. The year before that we got 4,000.
Pauline, do you want to?
Pauline.
We've been, sorry,
It's all right.
we had a long discussion about
It's all
this. Yeah.
I've actually checked this out with the auditors to make sure I'm 100% accurate. In the past, it was put in, probably in error. The auditor has advised me that we do not record VAT in the budget at all when we set it, whether it be income
Yep.
or expenditure. It is then recorded throughout the year, obviously, because we do have
Yep.
income and expenditure, that's fine. But we don't actually put it in the budget.
Then I have a formal proposal, because the budget therefore will be wrong in terms of actual because of VAT, whatever the auditor said. So therefore, why don't you put in an additional line that is a provisional sum, because that could cover anything, not just VAT,
No.
could cover anything.
I've trashed this out with the auditors. You do not take VAT into consideration at all because we don't actually own the income or the expenditure. It
But
just
therefore the
goes
budget,
in and
the
out
actual
and
will be
in and
wrong.
out, in and out.
So it's a nil.
It's
In the
a
end,
nil. It's an in and an out and in and out. That's it. We don't actually physically own it as a count, as a budget. So, as
No, I
I
understand-
say,
I
I've
understand
taken advice
I understand
from the auditors.
I understand
We
that.
do not record it.
In simple accounting practice then, I would propose either the VAT comes as a separate line, so
Which
that
it
your,
is.
no it's not, because when you look at total expenditure, you'll see that the actual for 23-24 was £129,000, and so that included £9,000 worth of VAT. I just think that the VAT should drop below that line, so that you've got a real budget to compare annuals, budgets against actuals. I mean, it's a proposal,
Yeah.
if it falls, then it falls.
Yeah.
But I just think, you know, if I was looking at it, I'd go, hold on, we're short on this, we're short on that. I understand the principle of VAT, believe me, I deal with it every day. So, I just think it makes the numbers look very odd.
I agree.
I think it is about the way parish council income expenditure is recorded and dealt with.
The budget will look odder as well in the future.
That's good to know.
Perhaps I can have a little chat with you later about it, because it will actually get odder and odder as time goes on, because we do have earmarked reserve money that comes in and out of the budget. I have to put the expenditure and income in at the top, but also record it at the bottom as transfers in and out of the reserves.
Once
So
again,
the
that's
figures
fine.
will get odder and odder and won't actually, it's for recording purposes rather than budget monitoring some of the time.
And I think that supports what I said earlier on, that it's actually a good idea to have a statement in the report that says,
Yeah,
whenever you read a budget, make sure that you see
yeah.
that the VAT is not budgeted, but we expect it to be whatever it's going to be, 10 grand or
Well,
something.
we can't, because we
No,
don't
no,
know
we
what
can't.
we're
You
going
can put it in the report.
Yeah.
It varies. Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
We had a long,
That's
we did
I've
have a
made
long
the
discussion
proposal.
about this during the budget setting, most of which I've learnt more about VAT than I ever thought I wanted to know. Oh, indeed, that I did want to know, but that's just my personal thing. Right, anything else on the current year's budget?
No.
Yeah. To discuss and consider the allocation of earmarked reserves. We dealt with the Compressor House, which was the only thing
Yeah.
I'd had
Yeah.
on that. Is there anything else? Earmarked reserves are on the side.
Yeah. Basically, they will need tidying up, because over the years we haven't spent some things out of previous allocations. For example, we have still got the radios, the emergency plan radios sitting in 2021, so we need to determine if we're going to carry on with those. We have additional grants in 22-23. Do we want to move that to another earmarked reserve, or do we want to put it back into the general reserve? We've also got some allocations in last year, which will need tidying up, so discussions need to be around those in the future.
Okay, as we go through.
The year. We also have some costs which we need to allocate, which will carry forward from last year, which aren't obviously in the budget, but we didn't actually pay for them last year. So we've still got March's compressor bill, which is pending, and also we have the £3,000 for the pavilion, which was allocated in last year's budget, but we haven't actually paid over to the pavilion yet, so that will need to be put into reserves.
Yeah.
There were discussions, I know, last year about the income we get from Hastings Football Club. Now that normally goes into general income, but there was a question about why it doesn't go into earmarked reserves. So some consideration needs to be in respect of that, because other income we get tends to go into reserves, such as the lottery.
Okay.
And also, we need to boost up some of the funds because they are diminishing fast. So we may need to start boosting up things.
The football income. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of parish councils put income into part of their general income.
Yes,
You know,
yeah, that's fine.
And, so one of the reasons for putting some of the income into earmarked reserves is that it is income coming from something where we're maybe liable to be needing to spend it.
Well, a prime example is the lottery.
Yeah.
We've got the Robert lottery, it's been going for the last 13, 14, no, more than that. And it was decided, I think, that we put it into an earmarked reserve so that if we wanted it, or if the public wanted something specific, we could use it for that,
Yeah.
rather than having to take it out of any other expenditure heading. So that's why that was put in there.
Whereas my understanding is the football is it's a rental.
It's
It's rent.
it's a use of an asset that we've got.
And we are not, and it's ongoing, so it's not going to suddenly disappear like the lottery going
No.
down.
No.
So
It
I would
was just that it was
propose,
mentioned
yes, I would propose that
last
that
year
stays
that,
as income really.
it could go in.
What other people think?
Yeah.
We'll keep the football as income. Propose that. Are there any urgent toppings up that need doing? Do you think?
The general reserves currently stand at £25,803. That's at the end of the financial year.
Which is just okay.
Which is just okay, as I say. Things like the War Memorial will fully drop off. The fixed assets are currently standing at 30,000. However, there will be a big chunk of that coming out for the playground, swing and slide. So we've got, out of the total earmarked reserves of 68,000, we will have 14,000 going out for the swing and slide next month.
Okay. And the War Memorial
And
as
the
well.
War Memorial
Is
another 10.
Okay.
So
that takes it down 25, so that's 30.
yeah, and things are starting obviously to need more
We did have,
investment, such as benches and things like that. So.
and we did have the warning from Andrew about not letting reserves drop because there might be a
purely because Rother are passing more and more
well,
things out.
yes, Fortunately,
to
we
go
don't
to
have any
council.
toilets.
No,
No,
Is
No.
all I can say.
no.
Poor old pet is.
Yeah.
we really would get bogged down then, wouldn't we?
Have I said I've missed you, David?
Just mind your P's and Q's.
But no, I mean, the idea is that you do keep a regular top up
Yeah.
of the earmarked reserves, purely because the assets will need replacing,
Yeah.
you know, over a period of time.
And last year was an expensive year
It was a very expensive year.
in all sorts of ways. Yes. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to comment on?
On
Not
the,
Pearl on comment.
on the fees, I'm still curious as to why nothing was ever collected from the forest school.
Well, they had free time up there, so I will be collecting from them this year. But I mean,
thought
most of it was free
they'd
time.
stopped doing it because they weren't getting
They've had two
invoices.
parties this year up there, one in April and one in May, and I will be collecting for those, but
Have they had invoices for those yet?
they will be once I've started
They
to
didn't
get
get
the
any
financial
invoices.
year.
You didn't get any invoices
No,
last year.
because we
okay.
allocated them free time and then they stopped. So,
That wasn't agreed though, was it? They didn't know that it was free time.
yes, we actually had Issy and myself and Jeff had a face-to-face with them before they started, it was free time.
What, for 2 years?
They haven't been using it for 2 years. They stopped fairly quickly after they started.
So it went on for a whole year.
No, not at all.
And in fact, they also did quite a lot of work in Norwood.
Yes,
Um,
yeah,
in,
yeah. So we did agree free time with them.
they had a qualified food surgeon, so they did do some clearing up. Okay, are we all right with this year's
Yeah.
budget and the earmarked reserves? Good. Moving on to review any actions of the final auditor's report.
External.
External auditor's report. The final external auditor's report is a single page. They note, as we knew, that we had exceeded the SCS threshold for funds, and we have now sorted that. Although there may be a need, I think we've got that further down, there's a need that we're talking about further down about that. And the second, the other matter, as they say, not affecting our opinion, and this is a governance matter, not about any discrepancies in the account, it is merely a governance matter, is recommending that the council evidences a review of the timesheets submitted by employees to ensure they agree with the payments that are made and are in accordance with the expected number of hours worked. Councillors, we have discussed possibilities, and we have come up with the solution, which is a small fix, that one councillor will check the timesheets which I have approved and the pay slip which is sent back from the payroll company to Pauline, to ensure that the hours agree, and will sign that every month. And the councillor doing that will be Derek Greenup, because he is also Pauline's appraiser and therefore fully understands that side of the salary. Are we happy with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I can also add that in the just as a by the by, given we've got the internal auditor's report as well, that the internal auditor states, if I can find it, and quote it, I'm not sure I can find it and quote it, payroll, here we are, that they, when the internal audit was done, they checked 2 months worth of pay slips and timesheets and found that they agreed completely, and that was done at random, so we are complying, we just haven't actually ticked a box or signed a form Is everyone happy with that?
Can I just ask a question about that, actually, because in that audit findings, I noticed it talked about pension contributions. I didn't know that it's never appeared before, pension contributions. So,
That's a confidential matter, I believe.
but it's not, I mean, I'm not asking how much it is, I'm just wanting to know, are we actually involved with Nest and the government? And is Pauline claiming?
That's a confidential
I
matter.
will not disclose
The
whether I pay pension or not.
The question has been
It's a
answered.
government thing, it's a government thing, it's all stakeholder pensions.
If any employee contracts into a pension scheme, the payroll company knows about it and will take the appropriate
This is something that council should pay, that's what I'm saying.
deductions.
I just want to make sure we are paying it, that's all.
So I will say this, clerks, or the parish council have appropriate arrangements with a pension provider.
For you.
It is entirely up to me whether I go in or out, and
Yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
disclose whether I'm in or out, that is my personal.
But it has been made provision.
It has been made provision.
Oh, cool. That's all I wanted
So,
to know.
yeah,
Okay.
so.
Anything else about the external auditor's report? Okay. I will just say that the report was delayed from September. Normally we get the sign off at the end of September. It was delayed because of the objection and the subsequent investigation which PKF did, and that resulted in increased fees which the parish council had allowed for more generously than we needed in the end, which I think shows that they were quite quickly able to see from the accounts, the paperwork we sent, that they could come to a conclusion about it. So
I think also it might be worth reiterating again that the actual auditor's external report was only received the Friday before the parish council meeting, so we didn't have time to discuss it.
I would I would actually say that there was something went out with inaccuracies in the public on social media today. We received that report and we have only had 5 working days since receiving that report, during which time our proper officer has taken some annual leave. Therefore, and we've had a parish council meeting, a planning meeting, a land management group meeting, and a finance and admin meeting. And I do not think the delay in publishing the report is excessive at all. So that was an inaccuracy which I have addressed. And if anyone wants to talk further about it with me, then I am quite happy to discuss it further. Right, thank you. Moving on to item 11. The internal auditor's report. We did discuss a bit of this at full parish council. And I would just like, because this is the finance committee, I'd just like to quote another bit under the audit findings, and I quote from the internal auditor's report, page 6. The receipts and payments report shows the income at 135.6% of the budget and the expenditure at 142.9% of the budget, suggesting that the budget has been accurately set and carefully monitored throughout the year. I think that's quite pertinent to what we've been discussing already, and we may, for reasons of not putting a full, perhaps very fulsome report out, not got that across to the majority of residents. The other thing that I'd like to consider is the internal auditor talks about emails, and the need for the proper officer to have control of parish councillors' emails. Parish councillors' emails are not our personal emails, but they are emails which we use for parish council business. And the internal auditor makes the point that we should be looking to finding a way where the proper officer will have access to that. There are various things we can do. One is we can link our emails to the website, to particular web things, which we tried before but had a bit of difficulty with. One is we can go with Google's administrative administrative account, which will give us just what we've got, but will give Pauline access into it. And the third, and perhaps less secure, is that we ask each parish councillor to sign that they have received the email address and password, that they will not change the password without informing the proper officer, and they will not change the recovery data, which Pauline has set our password, our accounts with, and that's what you do if you forget your password.
But usually flags it out to the proper officer.
But instead of going to your phone or to your partner's email or whatever, it will go to the proper officer. Councillors, have you any comments on this?
I think whichever is the most simplest, the most simplest is the most reliable, quite honestly. And I think everyone knows that certainly we all must should accept exactly what's being said here. There should be no question about it.
Yeah.
But really, it's what administratively is the simplest, and what is the least bureaucratic.
Yeah.
And I think Pauline really is what's best. You're the one who's monitoring officer. It's what's best for you. I mean, I'm not worried about, as far as I'm concerned, all they will have copies of all the emails, which I think you should have.
I don't think she wants that. Okay, so will we, are we happy to nominate Pauline to sort that out, possibly with our local IT
That'd be a real web of intrigue.
skilled person, and then to tell councillors, I was going to say what to do with that. Well, yes, what to do with their emails. Yes, how to ensure that their emails are both secure and also get-at-able. There is a very good legal reason for this, in that if there is a freedom of information request on one of our emails, it goes to Pauline, and Pauline has to be able to answer that request. And as I pointed out numerous times to everyone, your parish council emails are public documents. So be careful.
Also, in any event, the council should have records of everything there, just in case there's any claim or anything like that. If emails are not kept or are all over the place, then it's creating chaos.
It is also a protection for us. Yes, which is why don't delete them, just archive them. It's a bit of a pain, but there you are. So that was that one. And the only other thing on what I found on the internal auditor's report is she mentions the transparency code and highlights another parish council whose name has escaped me to look at. I've had a look at their transparency code on their website. Our transparency code, which we have, which is on our website, is actually very similar. The only difference is their transparency code on their website has click-throughs to explanations underneath them, which I think once we have the new website up and running is a possibility. Just to reiterate to anyone who's interested in our transparency code, which we have, the whys and wherefores underneath the statements, and if anyone is interested at the moment, they can come and talk to us about it, and we can explain or give them a link to the other parish council. The transparency code, most of the policies used by parish councils are taken from templates from that, so they are all very, very similar. so it is easy to do. Has anyone else got anything to say about the internal auditor's report? We have agreed the timescale for a publishing of those and the putting up for
Yeah, the public rights.
public rights. And
So dates were agreed.
no doubt I will be putting to a notice board near me soon.
Just one question,
Yeah.
Chair, this is a general question really. You made a comment earlier on where it was clear you've had some criticism about timings of things. Just to make life a bit, is it transparent, easy, obvious? Would it be worth us having a statement about saying any public document will be made available so many days after we receive it? That's not for my interest. I was just pondering upon what you said and what if somebody criticised you and said, you haven't done this quickly enough, and actually you did it within 5 days, that seems fairly quick to me. If you had not a policy statement, but just a general statement, if we get something, this will be available by X, then that takes away all of this criticism. I mean, as David rightly said, if you get something on a Friday night and you're busy over the weekend, don't expect me to do it until the Monday or the Tuesday.
Especially when the Monday's a bank holiday.
No, exactly. It's
As
just
it was
to
in
me,
this case.
if there was an agreed,
Most things are. I mean, most things are set in statutes such as minutes, public
Sure.
notices of
Yeah.
public
which is what?
of accounts.
What do we say?
Well,
You have
we
to have-
agreed the public notice dates and
The-
things like that at last
yeah,
parish
and the
council.
agendas have to go
And
out.
the
I
agendas
think,
go out 3 working days before, etc.
But this is to try and take pressure off
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
pressure on.
Yeah.
I think, I hear what you say, but I think that it would be better to say personally, that it is our aim that, the minutes, whatever it should be published within X days or whatever the period is. But, because you've got to allow, if something goes wrong with a website or whatever, then it's not going to be there in that particular time. Then, if you said we will do it in this time, then we get loads of criticism, why wasn't it that?
So you just change the language.
Yeah.
You know,
from
we really
will.
want to avoid that like the plague.
Yeah, so you change the language from will
Yeah.
to aim.
We
Yeah.
aim,
But then,
that's it.
if it's aimed to do it in 10 days and it's done in 9, nobody can say, why did you take 9 days?
Equally so, if you aim and for some reason or other it goes over 10 days, it does not, it's not a disaster.
That's why I just agreed with you,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
I just agreed with you.
Yeah.
I know.
And so, to reiterate, I'm
Yeah.
agreeing with you.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do here is to find a way of taking what was clearly, and I don't know the details of it, but clearly pressure on the chair,
Absolutely.
and take that off by saying, these are the confines, the remit within which we will work, and then somebody can't complain and say, you haven't done it in 5 days, if you say you're aiming to do it in 10. I just think it takes pressure off
I think,
doing public
yeah.
documentation.
I think for a lot of things, as Pauline said, we have statute that
Of
says
course.
agendas go out
Absolutely.
and whatever. This was sent out by Fairlight Financials, and it was inaccurate. And I don't know what Fairlight Financials' aims are, because I don't know, apart from one person who is in Fairlight Financials, because they are a totally anonymous group. But they have been doing this to the parish council, making inaccurate statements, and for quite a long time. That's why I'm tense about it.
Sure.
And I have personally had communication some time ago now from the one person I do know who is in Fairlight Financials, when I said I'll try and give you a reply in 5 days, but I was waiting for a reply from someone else, and when it didn't come in, I then got lambasted for having said it would be 5 days and it wasn't. So I think
That's why you make it 10 rather than 5.
yeah, in some cases, and you know, there is the real thing that we only have one employee who is receiving official emails, and if that employee is on annual leave or away on parish council business, the timescale can very easily slip. I think possibly the statement would be we aim to publish as soon as practically possible.
Sure.
Rather than, I'm very reluctant, for the reasons I've just given, to set a time scale, because if you say 10 days and you publish it in 5 days, say, well, you're covering yourself and whatever, or
Whatever.
that's the level we've been at times.
It's a proposal to try and take pressure off rather than put pressure
Yeah.
on.
So I would say
I'm fully sympathise with
I would say we publish as soon as is practicable. And I think that the trouble is some documents actually parish councillors need to have a sight of and a discussion of before
Of course,
perhaps
of
it
course.
goes into the public.
Can I just make, I've made a general comment now, because I think this is very important. We've now had the external auditor's report, that's clear now.
Yes.
So a line's been drawn under it.
Yes.
We've had the internal auditor's report, a perfectly good report. It would be very good now if all the people basically who are criticising the parish council could stop. It needs a line drawing under it. It's doing no good to this village whatsoever. It's terrible publicity for people coming. The council has addressed anything that needed addressing. And I just think now that the village on the whole wants us to work with people as a team. We, you know, the public need to, the people now in Fairlight Financials and what have you, need to start thinking how they can positively help rather than negatively help. There was another negative series of emails today on a certain site. That really, I would suggest, stops. It's doing no good, and quite frankly, what I can see, most of the village don't want it.
Yeah, I think for all residents, they need to be aware that the parish council has limited resources of time, and if we are getting an awful lot of contacts about subjects which are not central, and yet they will not discuss them with us, then I think that is detrimental to the running of the parish council.
I think the other thing is that, you know, I keep saying this, we are not professionals. We are ordinary residents. We have one, but the parish councillors are not professionals. We might be professionals in our own respective fields. We're volunteers from the community here to serve the community. And all of us, I believe, have joined this council to serve the community. So it's not fair, really, to sort of be permanently trying to criticise us or judge us as though we were paid £100,000 a year. We're not. We don't get paid anything. We don't even get paid our district councillors for anything.
No.
So, I mean, it really is something that I keep saying that, but it's true. And the fact is now, if you have elections and things, very few people now want to come onto the council, but especially if it's like this.
Thank you. And yeah, I look forward to working with residents in a positive way for the benefit of all residents or large groups of residents. Right, moving on. So everyone happy with the internal auditor's report? Okay. We should shortly be winging its way back to the external auditors again. Item 12, bank accounts. Currently, the signatories for the NatWest Bank account are myself, David and Carol, and Pauline, which is for, we feel we probably should add another couple of signatories to that. And we were looking at the guy who's staying down his paid for €20. Trying desperately not to be
I get volunteered twice a week, so I'm just waiting for the name to come in.
we thought probably Ron and Dale, as the two longest serving councillors, would be the next appropriate people to move on to that. All checks, all checks have to be signed by two people, obviously.
I've read the book.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, grandmother, I'm teaching you to suck eggs. Yes, it is about making sure we maintain an adequate number of signatories, so should Pauline need even a small check quickly, she can get it signed. Is everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Yep, okay. We currently have two bank accounts, and the bank reconciliation figures are within the FSC, whichever, you know what I mean.
We're under the limit.
We're under the limit. However,
Just.
as Pauline has said, we have got quite a lot of money going out. It does depend how quickly the War Memorial money goes out, because we know we will be getting the second half of our precept in September. And that there is a risk that that may take us over. Now, if we're going to be in this situation, which, given inflation and whatever, it will seem likely that the 85,000 guarantee, even with two bank accounts, is not going to be sufficient for most parish councils. We feel it is time to consider a third bank account. This would probably be again just a savings account. That's right. Probably to hold about the amount of the general reserve in it, but with more being able to be put in over the years as inflation inevitably means, unless the next government changes its mind and increases it. And the thought we had was to look at nationwide and see if they would have us. We do have difficulty finding banks that want parish councils.
We might need an alternative if they won't take it.
Or an alternative if not.
There are few and far between.
Yes, so, sorry, Jeff,
Sorry, I just,
it's not a discussion, but
Yeah, I
if you
know,
have
I
a
should
question.
butt in. It's just the CIL money. Where does that actually
Well,
go?
that is part of
Yeah,
the, that
just
is
sort of
part
the
of
third
why
account,
we
yeah.
have
Where to
an
park,
embarrassment of riches at the moment.
It came in early.
We didn't expect that in quite so soon.
So would that go in like a high interest savings account or?
Well, it currently is in the two bank accounts.
Yeah, obviously, but
The money is distributed.
would that
What
go
we
sort of
need is that I
into
don't
a
think.
third by itself?
Well, the problem if you go into a high interest account is that involves risk, so we can't take risk. So we go for normal, highest we can get at good risk.
So we took about 5%.
Councillors, are you happy for us to investigate nationwide as a
Yeah.
and well to
Yeah.
investigate other accounts?
As long as it's not a Nigerian bank.
No.
Actually, I was thinking of going Icelandic. I believe there's a very good ones near the airport that are going into
Chief
geothermal.
so-and-so might.
Geothermal power in Iceland at the
I'll have a
moment.
look to see what's available.
Can I just challenge that comment, actually? You were saying a high interest account is a higher risk. Not if it's an ordinary basic deposit account, it's not.
Well,
It's
if
a
it-
deposit account with a higher interest rate, it's not a higher risk as such.
It is less accessible, I suppose, is what I mean.
Thank you.
And it would, if you're looking for high interest rates,
Yes.
you've got to deposit for long term. And the reason for having reserves, particularly, is that we can access it should we need it. But that's good.
You could look at the co-op.
But we will look at the best reasonable account we can have, and it is a problem that banks don't want parish councils because we don't make them much money.
We're non-profit making.
We're non-profit making
You
it.
could look at the co-op because it's just been taken over and will now be part of a mutual, a bit like nationwide, so you could add that in as well.
Okay, we'll have a look at the code.
And can I suggest again that we actually keep the money in NatWest considerably under the 85 because we did pop over it, didn't we?
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
so if we just deliberately keep it under, like, especially if we are thinking some more money is going to come in, you keep it at say 70 or something like that, then at least that we're not running the risk of tipping over.
No. I mean, the CIL money I was informed didn't come in until June, and by June we would have actually got rid of the side money and the deposit for the war memorial, etc. So the money would have gone out. It was just that it came in early that we then slipped over the
Can I ask
reserve
how
money.
much is in Unity Trust now?
We did that last week.
Yeah.
I haven't got it with me.
No, it's 70,000 plus.
70 in Unity Trust?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we can't really put any more in there.
Yeah, no,
That's why I said we need
Yeah,
another
exactly.
account,
Yeah,
just in
exactly.
case. So, especially come September, we get another 40,000 for the other half of our preset, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone happy with the bank accounts?
Yep.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
The Community Infrastructure Levy Fund. I sent round a sort of suggestion which I think most people are happy with, and it will be published soon along with the newsletter where I talk about the infrastructure levy.
Chair, I don't think I've received that.
I haven't, I can give you a copy. It's somewhere. No, I had it at the last meeting, so I haven't got it. Anyway, it's really just, Councillors, what I'm proposing is that we open up a bit of publicity about the CIL, and we invite people to start thinking about potential projects that the CIL money could be used for. Possibly to come and have a discussion with us, or to work it up a bit themselves, and that we then take those ideas in, and at the point at which we feel we have a reasonable spread of ideas and people have had time to work on it, we would then open it up to public consultation, which would probably, but not necessarily, be a village hall meeting, followed by a letterbox drop vote on which ones people like and don't like. Before we did that, obviously need to ensure that the funds were either within what the CIL had, or we had a reasonable expectation of getting additional funds. For example, it was a sporting match funding, or whatever, and we may be able, in some circumstances, to apply to Rother CIL for match funding, because Rother get the line, they get 85% of the CIL, we get 15%, and some of that may be able to come back to us. Is everyone happy that we launch that and go ahead with it? And I'm just really looking forward to seeing what people think. Yeah, because we have a lot of residents, they have a lot of ideas, and I'm really hoping for some exciting thoughts that we haven't had, that we can pick up and run with, that will enhance the village for the next 20 or 30 years. Sorry, Chris.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
On the CIL?
Yeah.
Briefly. Yeah, we'll suspend standing orders, yeah.
Is it restricted to certain projects, or is it on bounds?
It is restricted. I've put it in the paper briefly, or you can look up CIL on the.
I'm very interested in your match funding opportunities. Going to rather than seeing people like to match fund anything that you'd like to do, and I think Residents Association,
Yeah.
know it with a very much smaller amount, would possibly like to contribute as well.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you're looking for a list of projects, can people start to write to you now?
Well, yes. What the publicity?
Some ideas.
This is the publicity bit, which is asking people to think about it and feed back to us, discuss with us, because obviously some projects, saying, I don't know, I want to build a television mast or whatever, just off the top of my head. Obviously that involves costings. So we've got to cost any project approximately to make sure that they are realistically doable. I don't want to commit us to a project which then comes in at 100,000.
I was just saying, the Rother match funding isn't guaranteed.
No, never is.
We can put in a bid the same as any other parish council, but it isn't necessarily guaranteed. We looked at with all the other bids at the same time. So, but it is looked at probably more favourably if there is other parties involved, such as the FRA or other organisations. They do take that into account when they're looking at the bids.
My experience of working with CIL money, or Section 106 as it has been called in the past, is that sometimes there are categories that it has to be spent on. And I just wondered if there were any. Would a crazy idea like having photovoltaic cells to help the generators that are on the cliffs be a project that could generate its own electricity to power those? Could be, or supply some of the power.
Anything that benefits the community. That is in
reduce
the
your
remit of the parish council to do.
And that doesn't commit us to major ongoing costs.
Shouldn't be.
No
Flat
legacy.
maintenance.
But this is the sort of thing that's. I mean, if you we work the costs up, then we can say, well, it's going to save us X amount in comparison to this is what we're going to spend. So we don't have to spend it all at once. We've got the next 5 years to spend it. So it's not an instant spend now.
I do think it should be spent on capital projects that would not otherwise be within the remit of the precept. or other grants or whatever. So bigger projects than we normally would. It's 43,000 that we have, and that can make a big difference in over a few projects. If we make a small difference over a lot of projects, we don't know we've had it.
You know, 10% of that from the FRA and 50% from the robber gets you enough panels to power your generators.
I think,
So the wind
yeah,
farm.
Well,
it is a really exciting prospect, having all this money to spend.
It probably won't happen again, that's the thing.
It's exciting.
It is exciting, and I think it needs, I would hope some of the ideas that come up, and I have no preconceived ideas, and the television mast was just off the top of my head, something, what can I suggest that's so outlandish it wouldn't happen? You know, something we haven't thought of really, and that's why we're going out for wider consultation. It's not for the parish council to decide how to spend it. It's for the residents to say, yeah, we want this, and you know, it may be that there's a more than one project, maybe not, but it's exciting.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Right, standing orders back in. Right, to review policies and practices. The policy we have for review tonight is the filming policy, the recording policy. Steve, you had a paper on it, which I've got somewhere, and the draft policy went round, here it is, at the last meeting. Councillors, have you any comments you want to make about any amendments to our draft policy in light of the proposals Stephen added last week? I've had a look, and I think most of them are primarily covered in here. I don't know if you have anything to say, Stephen.
Not really. I mean, you know, it's in the proposal. You know,
I haven't seen it.
No, I couldn't. Unfortunately, because it's an amended document, I cannot print it off in full. Because it's a document, it's a working document, and I couldn't find a way to print it off. So we have the draft policy here, and we have any proposals. I don't see that any proposals made are not actually covered in the draft policy, the policy that was up.
have we included things such as a YouTube channel, for instance, in the proposal?
What happens once it's been filmed is nothing to do with the parish council. It is once it. The parish council does not, as far as I know, have any thoughts about doing its own filming.
May I have a copy? May I have a look at it?
You can have a look at.
That's the only copy I've got.
And I think all we're doing is a policy for the recording of these meetings. Once the recording is made, it is not the property of the parish council. So, yes, I take on board what is being said, and we have put in here that it is not edited at all, which I think is important, and it goes out in full. And it is the responsibility of the person who's filmed it, where they put it. Anything else? No. So, are we happy now to recommend the proposed policy back to the parish council for approval next month?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the work you've put in, Steve. I think it's been helpful to clarify thoughts and move things forward. Okay, future agenda items. I think as I've said at the parish council meeting, I'd like standing orders, financial aids and financial risk to be looked at. I don't know if anyone's like to volunteer to look at one of them for next meeting.
Looks like it's us.
Yeah, standing orders and financial regs both have new policies on now. And really, it's a question of downloading that template and going through it and saying, do we adopt this? Are there any bits